What's up, guys? Your boy, Sven2K13. I'm going to talk about 5 up and 9 down from last night WWE Raw, June 8th. And this comes from WhatCulture.com. What is it with WWE and Go Home episode of Raw lately? The last live WWE television program before a pay-per-view is supposed to be when the company put its best foot forward to convince fans to buy the pay-per-view, or in this case, purchase the WWE network. Maybe it's the fact that the network seems to be free every month for new subscribers, but the promotion is not churning out its A material. Case in point, with Money in the Bank 6 nights away, WWE took the opportunity to put 6 of the 7 participants in 3 singles matches against each other. Where have we seen that before? Alright, the Go Home Raw before Elimination Chamber featured all 6 participants in the Intercontinental Championship Chamber match and 3 single matches against each other. All that does is ensure that we'll either have DQ finishing or half of the participants will head into the match with losses under their belts. In addition to this lazy, counterproductive booking, WWE also continued its effort to further neuter its standard bearer while patting itself on the back for being really popular on Facebook and Twitter despite drawing half the audience it did during the Attitude Era. Finding the silver lining this week was a little tougher than usual, but let's see what connected and what short circuits this week. The down, number 9, what's the demographic again? WWE love affair with mainstream press and attention often means that we'll see some crossover and or preview on WWE programming. Sometimes it can work well, but many times we end up with Sin Cara coming out of the mystery machine with Scooby-Doo. Monday we didn't get a physical crossover, but we did get a movie preview for Ted 2. If you unfamiliar with the first Ted movie, it's basically about a teddy bear with to life and voiced by Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy. There is a ton of profanity, drug use, sexual situations, and other off-the-wall stuff throughout. It's absolutely hilarious. If you're in your 20s or 30s and love Family Guy like this writer. However, put yourself in WWE's shoes. You, a PG show, that market towards kids, and you air a preview for an R-rated movie that features a foul-mouthed stuffed animal. That's not to say that it's horribly wrong, but it certainly sends mixed message about what WWE think is appropriate. Maybe El Torito and Ted can have an interspecies match at SummerSlam. Number 8. Again, although it might feel like Randy Orton and Sheehan have wrestled each other on television 1,000 times, rest assured that is not true. Monday night was only the 16th televised single match between the two, and only the second this year. Unfortunately, the other match took place last week, and both matches went 10 plus minutes and ended in disqualification. So if you love watching 2 main event guys tangle for 10 minutes before one lobbed a steel chair as the other for a DQ finish, then this was your night. The match did nothing but give Sheamus back a DQ win as if that matters, and then allow Orton to lay Sheamus out with an RKO. Sheamus was on a roll when he returned after WrestleMania, but trading DQ wins with Orton isn't going to help, and neither will being in another multi-man match that he doesn't win. WWE needs strong heels, and for a while, this was the most interesting Sheamus has been in years. Don't lose focus and make him just another guy, trading wins and meaningless matches. Number 7. Virtual pat on the back. WWE loves to do its best Barry Horowitz impersonation whenever it comes to its social media prowess. The company spent Monday Night Raw celebrating that it has reached 500 million followers across all its social media platforms. That certainly sounds impressive, especially when you consider that Katy Perry has 70 million Twitter followers and Shakira has 100 million Facebook fans. However, you need to take this news with a grain of salt. WWE is counting all of its social media platforms, which include Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Vine, Foursquare, Tumblr, Snapchat, and Pinterest, and each social media account for each of its performers. That means John Cena, 37 million Facebook fans, and 7.1 million Twitter followers get added in with everyone else, including El Torito, 50,800 Twitter followers, to arrive at 500 million. And as a simple side note, does this milestone mean anything to anyone? It surely doesn't matter to television advertisers, who only care about Raw and SmackDown ratings, and it doesn't do anything to help WWE bottom line, like adding 1 million subscribers to the WWE network would do. So much like poor Barry Horowitz, this self pat on the back has little meaning. Number 6. Runaway promo. You have to shake your head at WWE sometime when you see how the company collectively think. In this instance, watching 6 of the 7 participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match come out one by one to interrupt Kane and talk about how they were going to win was a perfect example. WWE probably believes that this is the hard sell, with each man stating how he wants to grab the briefcase and guarantee himself a favorable world title match. But that was not the best use of the multi-man promo, as it became more and more of a joke rather than 7 men seriously getting across their intent. It's hard to consider this a terrible thing. 7 men have to build a ladder match in just 2 weeks, but perhaps something similar like the insect promo WWE has started using again would have been helpful rather than this mess. Number 5. Apathy is setting in. Look, WWE, it's time to crap or get off the pot with the Bella Twins. Decide whether to make them solid faces or solid heels. Go all in and live with the decision. These wishy-washy, half-assed turns are being further complicated by the Bellas playing heels and face simultaneously. Monday, Nikki gave a promo where she gave Paige grief for complaining about the twins, then came out and slapped fans' hands on her way to the ring. She did a Scott Steiner excuse taunt of doing push-ups during her match with Summer Rae, then ate for cheers, which she got while in a shinlock. In fact, aside from Bree getting involved a couple times, what have the Bellas really done that heelless? Then again, what did they ever do to become Helen in the first place? The problem here is that WWE knows how to definitely turn someone, but just won't do it here. Look at Jack Swagger last year. He was clearly a heel, but they ran the real American out there to confront Rusev and he became an instant face. Heck, look at Naomi. When she attacked Paige after losing a battle royal, fans have got to be losing their patience or just not caring anymore. Why would you get invested in a diva storyline at this point? There's just no reason to do so. Number 4. Neville need direction. Another week, another solid match from Neville, but the man that gravity forgot seemed to be floating without any real direction lately. And while his WWE career is just getting started and he introducing himself to WWE fans, the high flyer needs to start having a purpose of some sort. This might be premature, but it should be an area of concern if it continues. Neville came out and challenged Kevin Owens to an NXT Championship match, which Adrian lost. While it was a really good match and that could be an up on its own, it's the second open challenge title match he lost in less than a month. He lost to John Cena on Raw. WWE tried to give Neville a mini feud with Bo Dallas, but the company blew that off quickly at Payback, and on Raw the next night he could benefit from a longer feud, perhaps for the Intercontinental Championship. Whatever the decision, hopefully he doesn't become a guy sent out there to hit some eye-popping move and then look up at the light. Number 3. Sheehan in 3D. It came without warning, but fans are so trained that they pick up on it before Fernando hit the mat and started chanting. Of course, it was the 3D, the Dudley Death Drop. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan hit it on Los Matadores, drawing a huge reaction from the crowd and chant for another, with the duo Hablar on Diego. Royal Rumble notwithstanding, it had been years since WWE fans saw 3D in a match, and they reacted loudly. It's a perfect finishing move for Harper and Rowan, but what really rubbed the wrong way was that fans very clearly dialed in on the move, chanting for 3D, asking for another, and then following that up with a "We Want Table" chant. They clearly got it, and yet WWE apparently wasn't willing to connect those dots and simply referred to the move as a way. Look, it might have been a decade since the Dudley Boys were in WWE, but in knowing the origin of a very unique tandem finishing move, especially one that belongs to the most decorated tag team in professional wrestling history, is just plain foolish. Number 2. Dysfunctional Authority. So what is it? Tough love? A slow meltdown? Or one big, massive swerve? Monday we watched Triple H and Stephanie McMahon smile and wave at Seth Rollins, their anointing WWE World Heavyweight Champion, as he struggled with dealing with Dean Ambrose and his theft of the world title. The power couple went from angrily demanding the safe return of the title last week to smirking as Rollins groaned. Last week Rollins declared that he didn't need the authority, having been goaded into a world title match by questioning whether he could accomplish anything by himself. It looked like Monday that the authority was willing to let Rollins play that scenario out. Rollins insulted the director of Operation Kane. No reaction. He challenged his own security team to a match. No reaction. At the end of the day, Rollins is the authority's chosen champion. Shouldn't they be doing everything in their power to keep the title around his waist? If he's getting insolent, then they need to chastise him, not let the authority fractured even further. None of this makes sense unless they plotting and have a new successor in mind. Number 1. A hapless champ. Sadly, Sux Ronnie had been little more than world champion on paper. Sure, he carried the belt for more than 2 months, but he can't seem to win any kind of match, even against his own brand of stooges, and now is getting shown up week after week on Raw by challenger. What is he? The Intercontinental Champion? Look, Rollins as a sniveling heel who needs help retaining his title is not a bad course, but he's not being booked in a manner that would lead a casual fan to believe that he could retain his title against Zack Ryder without at least a distraction from Jay and Jay Security. As a first-time champion, Rollins needs to win on his own occasionally to show he's a threat. Maybe he grabbed the rope or tight, but having authority members bailing him out get old. It's that booking that could lead fans to think that WWE is contemplating taking the title off Rollins Sunday and hot-shotting it using the Money in the Bank briefcase. It wouldn't be completely unpredicted, but it certainly would be unexpected. Or perhaps they setting Rollins up to prove himself finally. Or maybe Kane would life the title above the ladder, a live big boss man. The ups. Number 5, Comedy Hour. Again, finding positive Monday night was tough at times, so this will get a thumb up simply because it at least keeps R-Truth out of a title match and use him as a comedy guy, which is probably what he's best suited for now. During the god-awful multi-man ladder match promo, Truth came out and talked about how he had overcome his fear of heights at WrestleMania 31 in the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, only to be informed that he wasn't actually in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Kane played straight man, allowing Truth to acknowledge that this is on me, before slinking to the back. Some will find it funny diversion, while some will think it's a shame to see Truth being treated like a joke. WWE really missed the boat with keeping him as a paranoid, delusional heel, but if they going to just use him for comic relief and keep him out of the title picture, then that's an effective use of him too. Number 4. Rusev hanging around. There's never a good time for an injury, but Rusev's foot ankle injury came at the absolute worst time, just as he was moving on from his feud with John Cena and in the process of splitting with Lana and potentially feuding with Dolph Ziggler. Typically, when a wrestler lands on the physical unable to perform list, he will disappear from television for some time, rarely if ever mentioned. In this case, however, Rusev appeared to be sticking around, at least in the short term, on TV. That might indicate that the injury is not as serious as one might think. Rusev was wearing a walking boot and on crutches when he confronted Lana. He could be back before SummerSlam. If we see Rusev on TV a couple more times, then we'll know that he's coming back sooner rather than later. Either way, it bodes well that he's getting some television time to further the angle with Lana and Dolph, rather than just dropping it all together. Number 3. The old college try. Whether you like Ryback or think he's just a big, muscular guy who is sometimes unsafe in the ring, according to CM Punk, you have to appreciate that WWE appears to be going all in on the big guy, as Intercontinental Champion. They could have just let him float around as a guy on the roster, but they seemingly tried to rekindle his popularity and are running with it. Having Ryback's first challenger for the IC title be Big Show and The Miz is a great way to continue to build the big guy up. Show is well past his prime, but he's someone who Ryback picking up as seen Monday can wow the crowd. Seeing how Show played up his history with The Miz and their time as tag champ, Show Miz, it's a shame Show didn't point out that he beating Ryback every time they wrestle. At the other end of the spectrum, you have Miz, who fans just love to hate. Pitting him against Ryback simply encouraged fans to chant, "Feed me more," and hope that Miz gets his moneymaker rearranged. He probably would never rise above the IC title level, but it's nice to see WWE actually try with someone. Number 2. Mrow The Focus of Raw. The yang to the yin of Seth Rollins being booked as an ineffective champion is that Dean Ambrose is getting the better of him at every turn and drawing a big reaction from fans each week. Ambrose didn't show up in the arena until the main event Monday night, but his presence was felt throughout Raw as WWE kept putting up Instagram photos of him touring New Orleans with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship that he stole. By doing this, WWE made Ambrose the focus of the program and allowed fans to anticipate his arrival. It's quite a departure from a few months ago when he was losing regularly despite a good crowd reaction. Now that he's being booked strongly, that reaction has grown immensely. Imagine that. It does think that a lot of his strong booking is coming at the expense of Rollins, but Ambrose deserves a good push like this. The question is, what happens after Sunday if and when he loses? Does he challenge John Cena for the United States Championship? Does he hang around the world title scene for a bit longer? Or does he slide down the card, making this just a temporary stop at the top? Hopefully WWE brass have been listening to fans' reaction and realize that Roman Reigns is not the only popular performer to emerge from the Shields. And number 1, more Owen, please. After listening to John Cena's typical yelling promo to open Raw, it was refreshing to hear Kevin Owens come out and just calmly call Cena delusional as he put him down. Owens' demeanor is a lot different than most wrestlers, who tend to either speak aggressively or go into self-promotion mode. By contrast, Owens will calmly explain himself and deliver self-confidence. Maybe some of that is slowly rubbing off on Cena, because when he sat down on commentary, he became calm and complimentary of Owens, admitting that he needs to win at Money in the Bank, and that if he loses, then Kevin Owens' claims are validated. Owens' match against Neville also was a high point for the show, with the two NXT champions battling and giving fans the match of the night and the curtain jerker. Owens got to bust out some more innovative offense with further establishing himself as a threat. It's likely that the temptation is there to do the 50-50 booking Sunday and have John Cena get his win back, or have Owens win due to shenanigans. But hopefully WWE will realize it has something special going here and it doesn't screw it up. Then again, it's WWE. Well, that's it, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next one. Peace.